conversations.
It's art, it's culture.
Movies, gossip and trends, sports, drama.
We bring you a vibe like no other, straight to your living room.
To keep you informed, inspired, entertained, and most of all, refreshed.
We are such a vibe.
Y254. Imagine.
Hello there, 23rd day of October 2024. Welcome to Good Morning Kenya. How are you doing? I hope that you have started your Wednesday perfectly well. I have started mine on a high. Karibu sana. We are still here and a lot is happening in the country. Of course, we had Vioja Mahakamani yesterday, not quite, literally, yes, but pun intended, though, because this is the home of Vioja Mahakamani, right? So we had court session yesterday. That's where the defendants and the whole team were actually putting their case yesterday, and it was all set for the preliminaries. That really took the better part of yesterday, and the judges had to consolidate the cases, which continues today, tomorrow, and for the better part of this week. I have a feeling that this court case might spill over to sometimes next week, because courts do not have strict deadlines as far as making determinations are concerned. And so today I just want to take a look at where we strike the balance, where politics, law is concerned, and how you as Wanchiku can also be part and parcel of the whole of this process, that at the end of the day you are not left behind. I'll have Wilson Social, who is a former NATSEC Gen and former nominated member of parliament. Crispus Othimba is an engineer and a governance expert, will be joining me on set, as well as Reverend Mark Echakara, who is a transformational leader, leadership and governance expert. Three gentlemen who will be joining me on set. I want us to make sense of what is happening in the country. The Deputy President did not attend the summons at the DCI. Vivian, good morning.
Good morning,
Yeah.
Victor, and a very good morning to each and every one of you who is tuned in on the show. It's a beautiful Wednesday morning, and the country is really, I want to say that things are really heated up at the moment if we're looking at matters politically, and I just cannot wait for the discussion that Victor will be having with his panelists today on the show, just to get to hear what they make of everything that is going on at the moment in the country, and what the courts are saying, what the courts are not saying, what the courts are supposed to be saying or not, all that, and then some. Now, today being a Wednesday, we have an all-packed up show for you, and I will be having a conversation on the topic of finding the right hospitality personnel. And my guest for that conversation will be none other than Charles Gaku, who is the MD, Air Travel and Related Studies Center. We're going to be finding out what makes a good hospitality staff. If you are interested in that particular field, maybe what courses are marketable for you. You definitely want to stay tuned for that later on at around 8:30 a.m. in today. Ray, good morning.
Good morning to you, Vivian and Victor. It seems I'm the only one without a V in my name. And as far as the team, or rather the constitution of the team this morning, but nonetheless, we're here ready to brief you on what has been happening in the last 12 hours. Very rightfully put, Victor, a lot is happening. Now we were treated to a lot of legalese yesterday. And on a very, very light note, is that lawyer Haminwa actually, castigated or schooled Githu Muigai in the courts yesterday, and when he asked him to sit down, and Haminwa told him, no, I am not taking my seat. Besides, by the time I was practicing law, you were still breastfeeding.
Wow, that was really something.
So I was like, whoa.
That was really something.
Battle of the Titans, so to speak.
I like that, because that is part and parcel of their training. You intimidate your opponent. Yes.
Well, that's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah. If you look at the years that, Haminwa has been practicing law, well, you would even see how he was addressing the court. Everyone actually listened. Yeah. But that's besides that. Lawyers have also said that now the executive is fully in court. Yeah. Why? This is because apparently the president has also, questioned the legality in as far as law is concerned for the High Court to prosecute on matters of the impeachment of the deputy president. Yeah. So this means now the executive arm, for the very first time, is in the courtroom. So what does this mean when it comes to autonomy of the three arms of government? That's one thing I'm sure, Victor, you're going to be addressing. And while we're looking at that, is that all eyes once again today are going to be fixed on the courts come 2:30 this afternoon, when that particular bench, was it properly constituted within the law? We will find out the direction that this particular legal matter takes this afternoon. Now, that's just to give you a sneak peek of what is happening in as far as matters politics is concerned. We also have an update from what is happening in the business circles, so you're just in time for the news updates. And we start off there with the matters that concerns you and I, especially who are in formal employment. You're talking about the housing levy ruling that was delivered yesterday. Now, the court has dismissed a petition challenging the constitutionality of the 1.5% affordable housing levy on claims it amounted to double taxation and discrimination. In a decision made by a three-judge panel, including Justices Olga Sewe, John Chingiti, and Josephine Mongare, the court dismissed a petition by Busia Senator Kiam Tata, activist Eliud Matindi, and the Katiba Institute, saying the levy was valid and aligns with the constitutional provisions.
The government has received a note from a three-judge bench to continue with the housing levy deductions.
The petitions as consolidated fail, and we have dismissed them.
Justices Olga Sewe, John Chingiti, and Josephine Mongare, in delivering the ruling, said there was sufficient public participation and due process was followed in establishment of the fund.
The Senate considered the public input, including incorporations of amendments that were subsequently adopted by the National Assembly. It shows that Senate gave proper weight to the contribution made by the public. This reflects the professionality, ensuring that enough time and opportunities were provided for stakeholders to be heard and for their feedback to influence the process.
The judges emphasized that the levy is a crucial component of government strategy to tackle the country's housing deficit. They dismissed the petitioner's claims that the levy was discriminatory as unfounded.
It is our finding, therefore, that the purpose and effect of the Act is to promote and fulfill the constitutional duty of the state to provide housing in line with the decision of the Supreme Court. Section 3 and 4 are constitutional and do not in any way infringe Article 43(1)(b) of the Constitution.
The petitioners also contended that the Affordable Housing Act overstepped into areas reserved for county governments, particularly regarding housing and urban development, but the court ruled that the Act does not undermine devolution.
We also looked at each of the aspects of unconstitutionality as alleged, and we ruled that none of those provisions is in conflict with the Constitution.
This ruling follows 6 petitions challenging housing levy, with the plaintiffs arguing that the public had not been adequately consulted and that the law breached various constitutional provisions. The petitioners have since pledged to appeal the decision.
Now, it means that if the deductions are already being made on your pay slip, well, they're there to stay. Now, the 2024 Kenya Certificate of Secondary School Education began Tuesday with 965,000 candidates registered for this year's national examination. This year's examination is taking place in 10,755 centers across the country. Now, today, candidates, or rather yesterday that is, they sat for their French, German, Arabic, sign language, music and home science oral examinations. And a visit by KBC Channel 1 to several schools in the country revealed a high level of preparedness, with head teachers noting all loopholes have so far been filled to ensure the integrity of the examination is safeguarded. Now, Joseph Wahungo brings us more details on the national examination that is currently underway.
This candidate is about to sit his French oral exam at Jamhuri High School in Nairobi. He is among 13 students who began their 2024 KCSE examination today. According to Jamhuri High School Principal Duncan Juma, 4 more candidates in this school sat their Arabic oral exam on Tuesday.
And Arabic is done. We had 4 candidates for Arabic, they are already done. And we have 13 students for French, and they will be through by around 1. And we want to believe they will do well.
Kenya Examination Council (NEC) also confirmed that German, sign language, music and home science will dominate the first week of this year's KCSE examinations. Jamhuri High School has over 200 KCSE candidates, and according to Juma, the candidates sitting KCSE this year in the school have been adequately prepared to register exemplary results devoid of malpractices.
This year we have a candidature of 267, up from 230 last year. And our projection this year is a mean of 8.0 plus.
Miles away in Kisii County, professionals from various fields in the region are questioning the smooth administration of the examination. They claim that the poor state of Nyamache Bridge in Babasi constituency could significantly derail transportation of exam materials.
We understand that the government, through the Kenya Rural Roads Authority, has set aside more than 20 million for the bridge construction. As at now, this has yet to start.
Tunataka kuona engineer amekuja kwa site so that our children, as they do the exams for the next 3 weeks, wanafunzi wetu wapate amani ya kufanya mtihani.
Wakati mtihani unapoanza, tunataka mkataba katika Wizara ya Elimu na Wizara ya Afya kuhakikisha kwamba wanaajiri maafisa wa afya wa kutosha.
Congratulations, because we believe you're all winners in as far as this exam is concerned. So continue doing what you have been doing. May God grant each and every student who is sitting for their exams peace of mind as they write those particular papers. Now let's shift focus on the story of the day yesterday, where the constitutionality of the establishment of a 3-judge bench by the Deputy Chief Justice Philomena Mulu on Saturday to hear the case in which impeached Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua is challenging his ouster will be known today in the afternoon. This is after the impeached Deputy President queried the legality of the Deputy Chief Justice in empaneling a 3-judge bench outside the judicial working hours, alleging a plot to deny him the right to fair trial. This comes as President William Ruto, in a petition filed by his lawyers, is challenging the jurisdiction of the High Court to hear the impeachment case by Gachagua, arguing legal matters touching on the presidency is a function reserved for the Supreme Court as per the Constitution.
Tuesday morning at Milimani Law Court, the prosecution defense teams gathered before a 3-judge bench for what was expected to be an inter-party hearing of a case in which impeached DP Rigathi Gachagua is challenging his ouster.
Let things be done in a proper manner so that we do not send out the wrong signals, so that we do not send out the wrong perception that there is corruption going on in National Assembly, in the Senate, and in the Judiciary.
In matters as fundamental as this, In a matter where we all agree that this is a defining moment for our country, we cannot afford to be casual about it. We cannot afford to be expedient about it. It's in matters where a question of principle arises, and of all the three organs of government, only one organ stands out for standing on principle: the judicial arm of government.
However, the hearing would temporarily be halted after Gachagua, through his battery of lawyers, queried the legality of the Deputy Chief Justice Philomena Mwilu constituting a three-judge bench. In their argument, they claimed the Deputy Chief Justice usurped the powers of the Chief Justice. Additionally, they alleged mischief in the manner in which the three-judge bench was constituted on a Saturday outside the normal judicial hours, querying the urgency.
For the Deputy Chief Justice to have sat in the middle of the night on Friday, the 18th of October, was a gross irregularity.
That even the Gen Z were abducted, the substantive Chief Justice did not empanel a single bench to sit on Saturday or on Sunday. That is why but the context in which this matter must be viewed.
However, the lawyers acting on behalf of the respondents, including the National Assembly, the Senate, Attorney General, and Kithure Kindiki, among others, argued there was nothing peculiar.
In public interest, and given the extraordinary nature of this matter, Marot gives directions that this bench be constituted for purpose of determining the underlying question. Marot, the petitioner cannot probate and reprobate, can't speak on both sides of the mouth.
It is our submission that therefore the Deputy Chief Justice, who is the Deputy Head of the Judiciary, by dint of Article 161, Subarticle 2B, can exercise the functions of the Chief Justice.
Further, Gachagua's team called on the three-judge bench, consisting of Judges Eric Ogola, Anthony Murima, and Frida Mogambi, to accuse themselves from hearing the orders of the Kirugoya court that stopped the swearing-in of Professor Kithure Kindiki as the new deputy president. At the same time, President William Ruto, through his legal counsel Adrian Kamodho, wants the impeachment case referred to the Supreme Court, arguing the High Court lacks jurisdiction to hear the impeachment.
In a nutshell, I would wish that to point out that in a hurry to come to court, the petitioners even wrongly enjoined the sixth respondent, His Excellency the President, when Article 143(2) is clear that no civil proceedings can be instituted against the President.
The court would adjourn a few minutes after 7 p.m., with the judges pleading to give a ruling on Wednesday at 3:30 p.m. on whether the Deputy Chief Justice are in law and if they were properly constituted to hear the case.
Well, 3:30 p.m. this afternoon, KBC Channel 1 will be bringing you that particular hearing live from the High Court, where Ruth Wambui has been keeping tabs on the developments. Now, the government plans to register all 965,000 Form 4 students with a Maisha number to ease their transition into tertiary education. Appearing before the National Assembly Education Committee, Immigration Principal Secretary Professor Julius Bitok says the strategy is to ensure that when the students get to 18 years, they're facilitated to get the cards, which will be then integrated with relevant government agencies. He also informed the committee that the ministry has enhanced the issuance of identification documents and reduced the periods for production to less than 10 days.
As Form 4 students across the country started their final exams, the National Assembly Education Committee invited Immigration's Principal Secretary, Professor Julius Bitok, to explain measures his department was taking to issue the students with identification documents as they prepare to join colleges. PS Bitok indicated the government was in the process of issuing all the candidates with Maisha number that will be generated into Maisha card once the holder attains the age of 18.
As we speak right now, and when this problem of university students came up, we decided to prioritize
issuance of cards to people who are completing school. Those are NPS.
The new version of identification document, known as Maisha card, contains biometrics of the holder in a chip that is integrated with other databases of the entire government. The PS says new applicants will have to pay 300 shillings, while Kenyans seeking to replace old ID cards will pay 1,000 shillings.
We no longer need to fill any forms. We no longer need to fill anything. You just go to Huduma Center for your biometrics. You do it on your phone. You go to Huduma Center, and then you get your card within 10 days. Even for the frontier counties who initially felt that they were discriminated. Right now, without vetting them, they also get their IDs without any discrimination.
The government projects at least 20 million Kenyans will have upgraded their ID cards to Maisha cards in 5 years.
You have heard of people whose land is transferred. Somebody picks somebody's ID, they change the picture and do that kind of thing. You have heard of people who withdraw other people's money from their account. You have heard people who do what you call sweep-ups. But with the new generation, third generation ID, you can't do that because the biometrics and the information about the person is in the chip. When you present it to a bank, they can look at the chip and they know the ID is not yours.
The professor says the department has enhanced the production of IDs by reducing the waiting period to less than 10 days.
Now, the latest digital report by GSMA indicates that lowering taxes, increasing investment in improving quality of service, affordable devices, and stimulating the additional demand for digital services are key to driving up digitization and financial inclusion in Kenya. Information, Communication and the Digital Economy Cabinet Secretary Margaret Ndongo says an increase in digital adoption could add productivity to agriculture and industry by at least 3%.
The latest digital report by GSMA indicates that mobile internet connectivity has improved over the last decade, with most of the country now covered by 3G and 4G network. The report says coverage of 5G network is about 6% of the population and is expected to reach 99% by the year 2030.
Despite this impressive growth, there is an ongoing usage gap. So those living within the footprint of mobile internet connectivity but not using it. And often those most impacted are those in rural communities or other disadvantaged groups.
The report says 52% of the unconnected people cite affordability as a barrier to mobile internet adoption, with 16% of the respondents citing lack of digital skills, and 11% of them are concerned about safety and security concerns.
Access to technology and usage of the same is not a luxury, is one of the basic things, because we are digitizing and we expect them to access services through these technologies.
From smallholder farmers using mobile apps to track weather patterns and access global value chains, to small businesses reaching consumers beyond their area through e-commerce platforms. Smartphones are what enable people to participate in the economy in ways that were previously unimaginable.
The report recommends tax restructuring of mobile services and mobile money, device affordability, and stimulating additional demand for digital devices to drive uptake.
Take note of the issue of taxation and the impact it has had. And again, these are areas we can discuss and see how best to position our country to continue being the leader in this area.
We look at all these policy reforms that are proposed in the report. By 2028, if we do adopt those reforms, we should add 10 million internet users in the next 4 years.
She says technology adoption is key in increasing productivity in agriculture and other key sectors.
Now, engineers want procurement laws reviewed to earmark at least 40% of public-private partnership projects for locals to build capacity within the country. The Institution of Engineers of Kenya President Engineer Shama Kiteme says local engineering firms are often edged out of projects by foreign firms.
Public-private partnerships have been embraced in Kenya to bridge funding challenges, especially for key infrastructure projects. However, engineers feel they are not reaping from the multi-billion shillings projects.
To succeed, we need to take care of welfare of engineers. More engineers need to be recruited in various state departments, in counties and sagas. But also, where they are recruited, they need to be compensated fairly.
To correct this, engineers are calling for a review of procurement laws to ring-fence at least 40% of work for local engineers in all public-private partnership projects.
Basically, the problem is at the developer side. We are also working to make sure that counties, during the approval process, we have licensed engineers involved in the approval process, and we do not have quacks involved in the construction of buildings.
Engineers argue that this will standardize transparency, contracts, labor practices, and increase a thriving engineering pool.
From school to a professional engineer, there has been challenges, and all of you here are witnesses. And I've been engaging with the bodies, IEK, EBK, to see and mentor and ensure those engineers have internships that help them transition from graduates to professional engineers in due time.
Engineers are also calling for fair compensation of local engineers, citing bias in non-practicing allowance and risk allowance in other professions that is not factored while dealing with engineers.
To sports now, where the government is expediting the construction of sports academies in the country. Sports Cabinet Secretary Kipchumba Murkomen said the setting up of the academies will enhance the tapping and grooming of sport talent. He affirmed this when he rewarded the national under-20 soccer team, the Rising Stars, 1.8 million shillings yesterday after their outstanding performance in Dar es Salaam, where they qualified for the Africa Cup of Nations for the very first time.
The Sports Ministry is set to construct a total of 30 sports academies whose centres will be based in schools. The government projects to build a total of 290 centres in 4 years.
We had advertised some sports academies a few weeks ago, but we sat down again to relook at the designs together with our school of TVET, and we have come up with prototypes, designs that now will be standardized. And we will have at least a sports academy in the next 3 to 4 years. We'll have a sports academy in every constituency.
To ensure that the project succeeds, relevant government bodies have been asked to embrace technology so as to effectively carry out their mandate.
We cannot use analog methods forever of scouting young players. We are willing, and I've told them to come with a clear proposal on the available technology in the world that can assist our country to scout the best talents and to make sure that we showcase those skills to other entities in the world.
Meanwhile, the national under-20 soccer team, which secured their qualification to the under-20 Africa Cup of Nations finals, have called for adequate preparations ahead of the continental finals, which will be held in South Africa in 2025.
They have to look for a suitable country where you can go and camp without distractions, with a similar environment, so that these boys then can gel and be able to give their best. Also, we are looking to play quality friendlies.
Rising Stars booked their ticket after they finished first runners-up in the just-ended Sekafa Under-20 regional qualifiers to host Tanzania, who beat them in the final, and will be eyeing a marked performance in the showpiece, with the Sports CS assuring the team of the government support. The team was today awarded with 1.8 million shillings for their efforts. Kenya is set to debut at the Age Group Championship, marking another milestone in Kenya's soccer history after the Junior Starlets qualified for their first ever FIFA Under-17 Women's World Cup finals.
Our expectations remains high. Of course, we have qualified, and we are going to the next step, knowing that if we have good time for preparation, you know, you guys should expect something good from us again, because we don't have any reasons to not qualify for the World Cup.
As a team, tulikuwa tumeset goal. The first goal ilikuwa qualify for the AFCON. Of course, tumesikia ni the first time under 20 tuna qualify for AFCON. So ilikuwa poa. Kila mtu alikuwa happy.
So we are much happy for that, because ni si kitu rahisi, alafu ukiangalia kwa age yetu since before tuzaliwe si ndo wa kwanza kuqualify. So tuko happy sana.
Meanwhile, the junior starlets will be targeting to complete their group matches at the ongoing FIFA Under-17 Women's World Cup on a high when they take on Mexico in their final Group C match in Santo Domingo, Dominican Republic on Thursday.
Ndio watu wamekuwa hard, pia sisi tumekuwa hard kidogo, but hatukuwa hard kabisa, but wacha niseme tu kwa hii game ya Mexico tunaenda kujaribu kugive our best.
Tunaenda kukufa nayo juu hii ndio game yenye tumebaki nayo, na nazaambia Kenyans to this our last match, hatuendi kuwa disappoint, tunarudi na 3 points
from the first game. Tunaenda kupeana tena 100% juu tunajua pia Mexico si timu rahisi, juu timu kufika World Cup wenyewe si rahisi, na kwangi imewaka kabisa.
Kenya lost the opening 2 matches when they went down 2-0 to England and 3-0 to North Korea, who have already secured their quarter-final berths.
Now that effectively puts a cap on matters in the headlines this morning. Just to give you a recap, is that by 3:30 today we'll know the decision that the High Court will have taken on one of the few matters, is that if the Deputy Chief Justice 3-judge bench, was it constitutional? Did she act within the Constitution in empaneling the 3-judge bench? That's one of the issues that is going to be, we're going to get a directive on the direction that the High Court is going to be taking, given that the High Court interprets the law. So was it lawful or not? We have seen Deputy President's legal team argue that the time that was taken to actually constitute this particular bench, questioning why did the Deputy Chief Justice empanel this panel or this judge bench, and that it is a preserve of the Chief Justice, that is Martha Koome. On the other side, we are seeing the National Assembly as well as the Senate team, including the AG, arguing that, you know, even now, the president has already, through his legal team, challenging the jurisdiction of the High Court to hear the impeachment case by Rigathi Gachagua, arguing that the legal matters touching on the presidency is a function reserved for the Supreme Court by the Constitution. So which way will the High Court take in this particular matters that were brought forth yesterday? That's one of the developing stories. So save this on your timeline. 3:30, we're going to be live from the High Court in regard to that. Even in the event that you were wondering if the housing levy was actually constitutional, yesterday the High Court dismissed a petition challenging the constitutionality of the affordable housing levy, that it is now at 1.5%. So it's going to be deducted from your payslip, especially if you're in formal employment. KCSE is still underway. We'll continue keeping a spot check of that. And in as far as business is concerned, is that Kenya has temporarily halted the export of avocados by ship due to insufficient volumes. Further details are available on our website, that is www.kbc.co.ke. I'm Regina Manyara. Have a pleasant day ahead.
Waislamu, tuangalieni mambo ambayo kwamba yatasaidia katika umma, si kutenganisha umma, bali umma tuulete sehemu moja.
Kama Waislamu tumeamrishwa tuwe wenye kuingia kwa Uislamu kwa ukamilifu wa kuingia katika Uislamu, na vile vile pia tumeamrishwa tuwe wenye kushikamana na kamba ya Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala kwa umoja, na tusiachane nayo hata pakitokea lolote ambalo linaweza kututenganisha.
Alima ma lam ta'lamu faja'ala min duni dhalika fatahan wa kahufuriya wa shani wa
a beautiful day, isn't it?
Hamjatikanisha? Kwani mna move slow aje?
Come on, just snap out of it. Please, you will kill us.
My people, ladies and gentlemen, my biggest barrier has been answered.
Now, that is a perfect example of a nightmare. Hey!
I know. You should see her. She's... Oh, there goes my time. Get my books and bring them to the staff. Okay. It's a beautiful day, isn't it?
Hamjatikanisha? Kwani mna move slow aje?
Come on, just snap out of it. Please, you will kill us.
My people, ladies and gentlemen, my biggest barrier has been answered.
Now, that is a perfect example of a nightmare. Hey!
I know. You should see her. She's... Oh, there goes my time. Get my books and bring them to the staff. Okay.
Never be the same by your strength. Tell you this vibe, it's right. This lovely vibe, it's right. This is the vibe on the beach side.
Why you worry? Why you worry? Worry is unnecessary.
Just stay on your race. That is why children are living. Chica, I'm walking, I'm talking, I'm moving the positive vibe. Stop on my face. You only come around to do fake things. Your little bad mind face.
Nadhani umefika muda wa kurudi kwa wazazi wangu na mwanangu Maya. Hapa haya ni maji ya shingo na nimeshindwa kabisa kuyaogelea.
Mimi naweza chapwa na mwanamke mimi. Huyo basi.
Hata wewe mtu mzima haujui kuchunga mzigo wako. Shauri yako.
All right, very well. Welcome back to the program. I have my three gentlemen already on set, ready to start the show on a high, being a Wednesday. Good morning, Kenya, as we all know. Today is The Viewpoint, and the gentlemen are here, the three wise men. Let me start by starting with the wisest, Reverend Maki Chakala. No pun intended, though. You're wise, I have to call it. Good morning.
Good morning, Kenya. Thank you so much.
Good to see you.
Good to see you.
You've been so silent. Last week I asked Osion why he was silent, and he told me he was chini ya maji. Why are you so silent as well?
Chini ya maji.
Yeah, ulikuwa chini ya maji. You decided to go chini ya maji as well.
Those are your own words.
That's what you told me.
Chini ya maji. I've been building the nation. I've been building the nation.
That's you. I had my own things.
Putting words in my mouth.
Okay. What about you, Reverend?
I've been building the nation.
Quite literally.
Literally.
All right. What have you built, and what's the level of construction?
Well, very soon it will be commissioned.
Okay.
Yes.
That's interesting. So Sion must be interesting. He's been building the nation. I don't know, what about you? For the past 1 week?
I'm building the world. Yes.
That is so cunning.
Building the world.
You know, we have an engineer, so you must consult him. No. I don't know whatever they are building, but is it worth human, consumption?
Using architectural design.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
Engineer. We have constructed our hands as well.
We need to do structural investigation.
We need to, because I think they started a very shaky ground.
We've seen how buildings are collapsing. Existing for 10 years. So.
I like that.
Yeah.
Gentlemen, welcome to the program. Okay, so let me start with the front page of local dailies. I have the high cost of getting rid of Gachagua. That is what I have here on the Standard, or high cost of getting rid of Gachagua. On the front page of the Star newspaper, Raila pushes for bigger stakes as shake-up looms. That is on the front page of the Star newspaper, and on this Daily Nation, eyes on judges. That is what I have here on the front page of the Daily Nation. But let me start with the front page of the Standard newspaper. Reverend Mark, high cost of getting rid of Gachagua. Perhaps what do you make of this? Of course, there's a bar of country's finest lawyers who have been tapped and to litigate the case. That should see the deputy president either retire from public office or retain his seat. And now, this coupled with the effort, time and resources used to mobilize MPs makes the process an expensive affair. And it's just the beginning. The key word is just the beginning. Are we here to see more?
I don't know. I'm not so sure that we're about to see more. Indeed, it is a high cost.
Yeah.
Not to many other parties, but mostly to our immediate former deputy president. So he's the one who is going to feel the heat of the cost more very soon.
That must be having a ripple effect to the taxpayer.
No taxpayers. The taxpayers are not paying for his legal team. That is his team. It's not the government.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sosion, high cost of getting him out of office?
Well, that is a very mischievous quote. You know, the legal process, it comes with costs.
Yeah.
And who has given us the balance sheet of the expenditure of the legal processes that are in court? Very often, some of these high-profile cases are even done pro bono. And so really, you cannot quantify in terms of money what goes into it, but justice is expensive. That's the truth of the matter. When you saw Haminwa arguing yesterday so passionately, you know, Haminwa has been in that space on the bar for a long time, and talking about the country stabilizing, which of course it is stable. You see, lawyers have their own ways of arguing.
Yes.
But then you look at it, the way it has attracted a lot of attention, just like the previous presidential elections. This is a new frontier in our democracy, that matters of disputes of whatever nature can be left to the judicial process. They will argue out, but eventually there will be a determination that will be binding to Kenyans, and Kenyans will live by that determination. So we should be proud as a country that we have a working judiciary, a judiciary that is independent, a judiciary that every citizen can seek justice. So if Rigathi Gachagua is in that space, so be it. But of course, the fact of the matter is we are dealing with a constitutional process, which is a new prescription also in the Constitution, which we gave ourselves, something called impeachment, removal from office by impeachment, and which was done legally and constitutionally. So to me, I see no case. The matter is done, sealed, and dusted. Rigathi Gachagua is impeached.
The process is still in court, so it's not yet done.
Rigathi Gachagua is impeached, and there is a new deputy president. According to me, whatever else that goes on in court until that determination, of course, I don't expect much to change within that space.
Okay.
So lawyers are free. It is a good moment for lawyers, and you can hire 1,001 lawyers, and others are joining, and it will end at some point.
Okay.
But the beauty is, the public are not grumbling, they're not disputing, they're not quarreling among themselves. All of us, we are quiet, and we are leaving it. It is being sorted by the judiciary.
Let me get,
that's the beauty of resolving political conflicts.
From the engineer whether that statement qualifies to be given a clear bill of health. What do you make of that? I mean,
for me,
and it's not going to take like a day or two. It's going to continue for some time.
Yeah. So for me, my concern not necessarily on the direct cost of the legal process. I mean, we've spent money in other things that have not even bared much fruit to us as a country, but we are still here. My concern is the economic loss and the political loss as a country in terms of, one, the reputation that we are going to have as a country in terms of the stability we provide for those who want to come and invest in this country, or even those who are here and they want to invest, or even those who are here and they want to continue with their normal day-to-day business. That is being disrupted one way or another. Politically, there are definitely huge losses depending on where you stand politically. William Ruto and Rigathi Gachagua were supposed to be allies, and they came with their own support base one way or another. So when this separation or divorce takes place, there will be definitely political consequences. How they affect the country in terms of going forward, we are yet to see. But we are not very far from what happened in 2005, 2007. We can probably get a hint of where we can go as a country if we don't mitigate in terms of the kind of narrative that emerges from this separation. But we pray for the best.
Iron judges. Mark, iron judges. I mean, the 3-judge bench did their bit yesterday, and the legal duel we saw yesterday was, it reminds us of the Supreme Court hearings we had, the Maraga. We've had a couple of them, but again, they have a lot of work to do in as far as this case is concerned. That's on the front page of the Daily Nation.
No, of course, you see, the stakes are high, especially for the deputy president, because one, what he is trying to challenge, to me, it's a tall order for him and his legal team. So they have to put their best foot forward. Whatever angle they want to approach to their arguments to win the case, they will try to do anything in the book. But what I want to say is that just like Brother Wilson Sosion has said, the courts, the judiciary cannot injunct a constitutional process that is for all intents and purposes within the purview of the National Assembly. Because the impeachment process, remember that the Supreme Court has already pronounced itself on matters impeachment before, especially concerning the Sonko case, where they said it's not just a legal process, but it's also a political process. And from where I sit, it's more of a political process with a legal aspect than more of a legal process with a political aspect. So this is a political process, and how it is dealt with or it's dispensed with is within the Constitution, prescribed within the Constitution, and the Constitution says who is responsible for it. It says the National Assembly and then the Senate. So then the President nominates the replacement, forwards to Parliament. Then Parliament votes either to not to approve, gives its vote. So if he has a majority, then he is the new deputy president. So that's how the Constitution does not give room for the courts to be involved. However, the basis upon which our former deputy president's team has gone to court is because he wants to challenge the process of impeachment itself. So it's now his responsibility to prove that indeed the process was extremely flawed to the point that he was denied his right and there was an infringement on his fundamental freedoms and rights. So that is his responsibility.
We have a classic example of Governor Wambora, who served his 2 terms. I mean, you have litany of cases in the corridors of justice.
See,
but,
the impeachment process of a governor is different from that of the president. It's not one and the same thing. But all of them are provided for in the Constitution.
I agree, but it's also it was a political process, but he still managed to get the legal side of it.
It is, but it's different. The deputy president and the president's impeachment process is in the Constitution is different from that of the devolved units. So it is so high that it does not allow such a long time. Unlike the governance, it can be protracted, goes on and on. But the crafters of the Constitution did not envision a situation where there is protracted litigation on matters of impeachment of the president or the deputy president, considering the sensitive nature of the office that they hold.
Okay, Sosyan, are you the judges? It's a lot of work for the 3 brilliant brains sitting at the bar.
Yeah, of course, this country has the best judges, the best of the best. And if you are taking a matter before the judicial system, make sure that you have clear facts of law and clear facts of the Constitution, so on the grounds that you can convince the court, and facts that your case can stand on 4 strong legs so that you can win. But if you don't, then you are engaged in what we call fishing expedition. You think you are going to get your way, and sometimes you think you're going to bribe the judges. I think the independence of the judiciary, the backbone of the independence of the judiciary is competent judges who can do their work independently and deliver judgments that can convince Kenyans and convince everybody and convince the opposing sides within the court. And that was the essence of creating an independent judiciary through the Constitution of Kenya 2010. And we've seen various landmark judges delivered by the judiciary. One, various judgments on the presidential elections. At least 3 presidential elections have been litigated in court, and judgments delivered independently and convincingly. We saw the burial of BBI at the court again with a very reasoned judgment that Kenyans can pick facts and understand. And after the delivery of those judgments, the country went quiet and moved on to other things very peacefully. Meaning, of course, that's an indicator that the people trusted the quality of the judgments that were delivered. So even with this one, of course, some of us, we expect nothing does not end in court in terms of litigation. Look at, for example, the bottom-up economic transformation agenda of Kenya Kwanza. Almost every pillar is being challenged in court. It is being argued, and we have seen judgment delivered, which is healthy. Even this one, it is healthy. Instead of people fighting like animals or arguing in rallies and wasting valuable time, let citizens go about their own work, and such disputes to be meticulously and objectively adjudicated by the courts. So for me, I have every trust that our judges are up to task, and they'll deliver a well-reasoned judgment in all these matters. And what are the questions before the court? It is not calculus that is going to disturb the minds of the judges. And as I said, the big question that is there is that the impeachment process was unlawful and unconstitutional. Certain aspects of the law and the Constitution are violated. Those are just mere literature arguments. But if you look at how it was done, and this is the first time we are having an impeachment of a deputy president with 11 grounds, and we saw how it was prosecuted at the National Assembly, that would be and then eventually the trial chamber. We saw how the senators, handle the matter at the Senate. And really, it's very exciting. This is one of the best democracies in the world. Kenyans should be happy about our democracy. This is one of the best democracies in the world. And you saw how the arguments and the matters were prosecuted in the Senate, how senators voted item by item among the 11 items that were leveled against the deputy president, and 5 of them, the deputy president was impeached properly in the five of them. And so by the time you are impeached in 5 counts, you'll only need to be impeached in 1. But by the time you are impeached in 5 counts with evidence and of course, the prosecution team came up with evidence, with facts that are not deniable. And therefore, I would say you cannot take a matter to a court of law if it does not have legs to stand on.
Yeah.
A weak case is a weak case. It will just die.
Okay.
And there is nothing you will do. It will automatically die, wilt away,
allow me to
and
say
die
this.
away.
Allow me to say this. You say the impeachment process. No. Allow me to say something. You also said that the impeachment process was properly conducted.
Yes, it was properly conducted.
That's according to the petitioner. It was not well conducted. That's why it's
according to me.
All right.
And a person. I'm a great user of the courts, and I've taken cases and I've handled cases.
All of us have no doubt about that. We understand.
You better know it, Victor, today. I'm a great user of the court, and
you've been in those corridors.
And I can tell you,
great.
I can tell you a case that is going to die. This one is dead.
You can't predict what's going to happen in court.
No, I'm saying those are my own observations. This one is dead. It is just a matter of time before Kithure Kindiki is sworn in as the deputy president of the Republic of Kenya. The impeachment is proper within the constitution and the law, and is a constitutional process. And let me tell you, the doctrine of separation of powers.
We still have time.
The doctrine of separation of powers.
Save the rest.
The judiciary cannot dare interfere with a constitutional process that is constitutional.
Mato. Oh, very good. You're safe.
I've stopped.
You're safe. Christmas, let me get it from you. Handling Sossion is always a big problem. My goodness.
I know.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
But
you all agree that we have brilliant minds in the courts. I mean, it's not even easy to predict what's going to happen. When you see the likes of Hamino yesterday arguing, the likes of Muigai, the likes of Mungai.
Which is okay.
I mean, we have brilliant brains that we are now actually able to see.
And that's the best of Kenya.
Exactly. What do you make of that, Christmas?
For us as a country, we need to be reassured that we are safe with the judiciary. Consistently over the last 10 years, we have seen the judges or the judiciary come out with decisions that are very Solomonic, that are able to guide the country going forward.
Some comfortable, some not.
And in other areas, especially on the presidency issue, we have seen people disagree with those decisions, but that did not lead the country to getting banned. But we have been able to come out of it, understanding our laws better, understanding what we are required to do. For example, the issue of public participation. There are many cases that there are many issues that were dismissed on the grounds of public participation.
Yeah.
Today, at any process, Kenyans are put at the center of that discussion because public participation is a requirement. So therefore, even from this impeachment of the deputy president, something will come out that will inform the country on how better to govern our country and how better to put certain laws that will make this country steered forward. We are becoming a more progressive democracy. We are becoming a better country in terms of jurisprudence, in terms of providing guidance to other countries how to run a country where there is a clear separation of powers. The only challenge I have is that, yes, the judiciary might emerge as independent. How independent the parliament and executive have come out of this process clearly shows there is a very big alliance. And we cannot be able to, as a country, be assured the role of oversight is being played effectively. But when it comes to judiciary checking the government, we trust this decision that will come out of this process will be able to give us assurance that without the other arms coming together, even them, they are able to check the government.
Let's take a break. And we come back, I still have the star. Raila pushes for bigger stakes as shake-up looms. That's on the front page of the star. Session shake-up is looming and bigger stakes coming up. Let's take a break. We'll be right back shortly. Stay with us.
Thank you for joining us on Healthy Living. Stay connected to Voice of America at voanews.com. A look at your kidneys and how they impact your health. And an expert discusses chronic kidney disease and how to protect yourself. And Ivorian psychologist Noor Bakayoko shares some insights on bullying and what can be done.
It's important to avoid major events or major health crises.
How do you know if your cough is due to a serious condition? We'll have some answers. Stay well
and strive to make every day a healthy day.
Nadhani umefika muda wa kurudi kwa wazazi wangu na mwanangu Maya. Hapa haya ni maji ya shingo na nimeshindwa kabisa kuyaogelea.
Mimi naweza chapwa na mwanamke mimi huyo basi.
Hata wewe mtu mzima haujui kuchunga mzigo wako. Shauri yako.
That is why children are living. I'm walking, I'm talking, I'm moving the positive vibes. Stop bad mind face. You only come around to do fake things. Your little bad mind face.
So let's continue with take a look at what's of the front page of the local dailies. Let me start with the final one is the Star. Raila pushes for bigger stakes as shakeup looms. Orange Party wants reward for role in enabling Gachagua impeachment, and according to the Star, ODM played a big role because were it not for them, then the Kenya Kwanza would have not gotten the numbers they wanted. Mark, yes. This is another headline, completely all different from the other pages, the papers.
Well, we are yet to hear it coming out in public. How the Star got that information, I don't know. Must have been the intrigues behind the scenes, the Nyuma Hema engagements.
Yeah.
So we cannot rule out that possibility. But, you know, the country is stabilized to a great extent since we had Baba begin to work together with His Excellency, the President. And it is that began to cause disquiet within the Kenya Kwanza government and discomfort, especially on the part of the former Deputy President. He was uncomfortable. At some point he said that the old man came and said, "Waja tunilala hapa kwa veranda." kidogo akasikia sasa nasikia baridi, nifungulie tu nikae hapa kwa sitting room. Wakati walikuja wakapata mzee ameingia kwa nyumba, ametake over nyumba. So that's what our immediate former deputy president said. So but should not take it away from Baba, especially the role that he has played over the years at very critical points in the history of our nation, when at some point in time our nation was on the verge of collapse and disintegration. Baba came in and saved the day. So that is literally what happened. In fact, many people thought, many people insulted Mzee when he came in immediately after the Gen Z protests. And people said, we did not send him. And the Gen Z said, we have not sent you. And many people thought that the country was not going to be stable. But whenever Baba comes in, everything goes stable.
So that's we say that panapo mzee.
Panapo na wazee hapaharibiki neno. So we cannot rule out the possibility that indeed Baba could be pushing for a bigger stake within the government system, and that is still possible. This is a country for all of us. And so there is room for all of us.
There's a room for all of us.
Yes.
I agree with you. So do you agree with that? There's a room for all of us. On my side, there's a room for everyone.
The Bible says, in my Father's house, there are many mansions. Many mansions enough for all of you. And the president has been very categorical. And this, he did not start it yesterday. And he's not acting out of political crisis that comes about in the space of politics. But I think that is a philosophy he has envisioned all through. Don't forget, I moved from ODM to UDA, but I didn't move in, my movement was negotiated, permitted. I was given clean clearance by Raila Odinga out of ODM because I needed to contest in Bomet. And I was received clearly by the party leader in UDA, and I communicated clearly that I had been released officially from the other side. And the words here is that we don't need to live in political acrimony. If you are here and you are with our colleagues the other side, if they need anything from us, then you are the link. And in this political space, we don't need to promote animosity, but we should prepare for working together tomorrow, which really was the case, because I asked Baba, can't you work with William Ruto at some point? And he said, yes, after these elections, we shall definitely work. We can't avoid working together. And so from the real hindsight and the background of key leaders in this country, I can tell you, hearts are always open to work with other leaders to unite the country, because we are not on this stage forever. We're here for a short while, and to leave a mark, the greatest mark that you can leave is that of unity. And I followed keenly the statements of the president when he was being sworn in, and he said, I will work with every leader in this country. And to me, I knew every leader meant even those in opposition.
Yes.
And he has walked the talk. So when you talk of, now when the media now is saying, some jobs and some deal cutting because now government is going to be reorganized. It's not a new thing. The president has engaged in a broad-based government formation, and we've seen John Badi, the chair of ODM. We have seen the two deputy party leaders of ODM, Oparanya and Hassan Joho. They're in government, and they're not just in government, they're working seriously. And we've seen Opio Andai, the minority leader, is working in government, and you can see their backyards, the attitude and the change. People all of a sudden are happy in those backyards, and therefore Baba, within the framework of Kenya Kwanza, even generally, is highly, highly respected at the moment. So really, A step further to strengthen the broad-based government will not be a new thing. And I don't think that is something the president can hesitate to do if he can. And if that broad-based arrangement is going to be strengthened so that we have a united country. You know, in the little time that you have, you see, Kibaki had time, and he ensured that he delivered the Constitution of Kenya 2010, which up to now, it's a platform for all of us to develop and drive this country. And when you hear people talk currently, they refer to Kibaki. Yeah. It's a legacy that he left with us. The leaders at the moment who are on stage will also leave a legacy, a lasting legacy that unites the country. And as you can see, the brand of politics that we have now are no longer really, ethnicity is taking the backseat. It's now politics of issues and merit. And if we have allowed for the last 14 years the courts even to prosecute political disputes, you know, it's not very easy to have a court prosecuting political disputes and delivering reasoned judgment. We've talked about impeachments of various governors. The judiciary has interceded, applied their minds, and delivered reasoned judgment. So we are becoming a complex democracy that is highly progressive. And so if it gets down to formation of government, which is broad-based, did you ever imagine that a ruling party, for that matter, because in this kind of constitutional presidential system, we don't have a ruling party. But then, in real sense, we do have the president of the ruling party inviting members of the opposition to run government, but we still have the country with strong checks and balances, and it's still moving forward. That is, it requires very wise men who can balance issues.
Should be used as a case study.
Yes, it's a case study for advanced democratization and democracy. So slowly we are building institutions, and I would wish that we have very strong institutions, and we have very strong values, particularly values of tolerance, values of accommodation, and that of building and embedding strong democratic practices that protects the rights of the people.
Let me get to hear from. It's said that ODM is insiders ask for more senior government appointments. As I mean, a case study again. We need to have somebody should come and study Kenya, how things are being run here.
So if you look at the ODM and the history of it joining government, between 2008 and 2012, when we had the grand coalition, the National Government of National Unity, during that time, we enjoyed some very good stability as a country. We were able to give birth to the Vision 2030, giving birth to the Constitution of 2010, and the country enjoyed some very good economic growth. So I believe by Raila demanding now not just a mere handshake like it was with Uhuru Kenyatta, but insisting that I also have to have my men and women within government, we should be able to see some of the economic agendas for Kenya Kwanza and probably also for Azimio finding their way into government and moving a bit faster, because now probably we'll be able to enjoy more political goodwill. In terms of checking the authority of the president, I don't know how that will be exercised, because you remember Rigathi Gachagua has been just kicked out because of probably exercising his own independence. So I don't know at this point where Raila will be able to exercise his authority over this government. And given Kindiki or any other person who will become the deputy president, the requirement is that you keep quiet and just follow what your principle requires of you. So therefore, we need to understand who will be able to check government within. From the outside, obviously, Kalonzo has made it very clear, I'll take over the space of the opposition. But I believe, going by the history of the Grand Coalition government of Kibaki and Raila, there was some stability, there was some progress, and we should be able to enjoy that in this administration over the next 2 or 3 years. From the Uhuru-Raila alliance, we didn't see much of Raila coming into government, but there was peace. Although the COVID pandemic came in and we were not able to really fully realize the fruits of that marriage. But we believe that if this union is for the best of this country, given the history that was there before with Kibaki and Raila, we should be able to see something of benefit from this alliance. It is good for the country that everybody is included. When we include everybody, that's what makes Kenya. When we exclude other people, then it becomes another part of the country where some people feel they are not part of this nation. So inclusivity is a very important principle in governing this country and should be intentionally implemented by any person who is in government.
Very good.
Yes.
Right. That brings us to the end of what's on the front page of the headlines. Quite important so that we break it down in our own understanding. But gentlemen, let me ask you, let me start with Mark. First of all, we've never imagined that seeing a sitting deputy president in court. The case as is, the status quo remains as per the ruling, well, whichever way you may look at it, but we still would assume that he's still the deputy president. And seeing him sitting there and listening to his case yesterday paints a different kind of a picture. Well, democratically, yes, but what does that really show in as far as our democracy is concerned? How do we even find ourselves here in the first place?
Well, I think many of us ask questions or look at this matter with our hearts more and apply sentiment more to it.
Yeah.
But I believe that the crafters of our Constitution, Kenya Constitution 2010, by having the provision for impeachment of a deputy president and the president, so that it is possible for a situation to arise that would necessitate the removal from office of a sitting deputy president. It was possible for a situation to arise necessitating the removal from office of a sitting president. That's why they made provisions for impeachment of the president, impeachment of the deputy president. I made those provisions there. So which then brings us to where we are today. As much as many people are not happy or many people think it's injustice, but that provision was not inserted in our Constitution just for cosmetic purposes.
Yeah.
Because we have had a history where we've had leaders who are rogue, people who are senior in government, seeming like untouchable. We had the example of the total man during the days of Moi. They would do all kinds of things and they would seem untouchable. So, armed with the consciousness and the knowledge of that history that we've had as a nation, I think the Kenyan people should be the happiest right now, because previously when senior government officials would just speak arrogantly, say anything, like anything goes without consequences, those days are now gone. I think now this sets a very, very high bar and serious precedence to anybody who holds public office to know that now nobody is untouchable. Now that the long arm of the Constitution has touched the presidency, anybody in public service should understand that nobody is above the law. And even to see the deputy president sitting in the court listening to his case as his legal team litigate this matter, in itself shows that if you want to do things your own way and you have no respect for the Constitution will force you to sit down and listen. The Constitution will force you, will sit you down. If you refuse to sit down in your office or in a public rally, there is a sense in which the Constitution has the capacity to pull you and humble you.
Yeah.
So I think that is the place where we are. And just like you said, Kenya really needs to be studied. And I think democracy needs to be contextual, not paste and cut and paste, so that we imitate other democracies and how things are done, and we want to do them exactly like them. We have to be allowed the liberty to imagine our own democracy and to fine-tune it to work for us. Like now we have all spelled out the history of our nation in terms of disputes, political battles, and where the country almost come to a standstill. We have seen that history, and every time you find the members of the opposition working together with government, and the country calms down. Every time there's that cycle, and comes in, comes down. It shows that that is how our democracy functions. So that is democracy Kenyan style. And so we should not really look at it negatively, but appreciate how far we have come. Considering the last time that we ever had a situation where the country was on the brink of war is a long time ago.
It's long
time
ago.
It means that our current constitution is working, and people are beginning to appreciate our constitutional order.
So you're a clear example of how democracy would work. You have been a member of ODM, you're again given a clean bill of health, you move to a different party, and that is democracy, and that is all we need. But when you look at it in this particular way, perhaps somebody would have given, the Deputy President, Rigathi Gachagua, would have opted to stay away from the court process and send his lawyers to do the work. But in this case, he appeared. I mean, what kind of a picture are we creating, even for the common mwananchi, to the Wanjiku, who might feel that, the law is meant for a particular group of people, but when you see the likes of Rigathi Gachagua appearing before court, what does that really show us? From Loyangalani to Nyalgonga huko?
You know, Kenya, when it emerged from British colonialism, there were the hangovers of sovereign powers lying in the president. Because in the British monarch, sovereign power lies with the king. It is in the monarchy. But our democracy, sovereign power lies with the people. That emphasis is put in the Constitution of Kenya 2010 with the various bills of rights within the same constitution. If you look at our constitution, a blend of the South African and the U.S. democracies, and if you look at the political history of South Africa, maybe the only president who was never touched and who completed his term peacefully was Nelson Mandela. Thabo Mbeki had to leave prematurely before the end of his term, and Jacob Zuma was impeached, and we've seen attempts around Ramaphosa, and Ramaphosa, being the former Secretary General of ANC, has been able to manage the politics of the country. Coming down to our constitution, and as has been said ably here by the Reverend, this constitution humbles everyone, and it has humbled. In 2017, when the presidential elections were nullified by a court of law, did you know that there was a sitting president? And it is a re-election of the sitting president that the elections were nullified.
Yes.
And everybody accepted. And we went back for another round of elections, meaning the sovereign power here has been removed completely from those in the executive of government. And power lies with the people. And the custodian of that freedom and power of the people is a judiciary, and is a very critical entity. So for Kenya, and people are coming slowly to realize, and our constitution is maturing in many aspects, is what we call twerking. We are twerking the frontier of impeachments. We are twerking the frontier of public participation with respect to even finance bills, and you can see Kenyans are now active in every frontier. I would say about impeachments, because this points to good governance. And I paraphrase what the first Prime Minister of Singapore said, that if we want Singapore to prosper, let's keep our system clean. Clean means remove corruption and remove corrupt individuals out of government, so that we can have a prosperous economy that is equitable to everyone. So it is now beginning to work in Kenya. A president is impeachable. That's the truth. So when you see Gachagua in court, even a president in future will be impeached. If it becomes necessary to do so, a president will be impeached. So a president is impeachable. The deputy president has been impeached. And we've seen the country is moving. Here, carry your own cross. If certain charges of violating the constitution, violating the law, engaging in crimes, gross misconduct in your office are evidently proved, you carry your own cross. And that verdict of undertaking it was not left with the judiciary. It was given to the institution of National Assembly and Senate. And so if, Victor, you are convicted or impeached, you are not being impeached with your family, with your clan, with your tribe. So don't run to that backyard. You are being impeached as Victor. Carry your own cross. And this is what is happening. We have seen ministers impeached. Linturi survived simply because the committee that was tasked to prosecute actually cleared him. And because the Constitution says if the committee clears you, that is the end of the case. But he was impeached by the National Assembly. Remember the fertilizers scandal of selling sand to farmers? Yeah. That is a heinous crime. In fact, I don't understand why he was not permanently impeached. Individuals should be permanently impeached. Leading any position in this country is not a human right. It's a privilege given to you by the people. And when you mess, you must be impeached as an individual, so that then other citizens who are willing to execute in a just and fair manner those particular duties are allowed to. Other state officers be impeached, heads of parastatals, and who anybody is impeachable. And we have seen governors being impeached. We should now have very successful, and this calls for the county assemblies to actually to be judicious and prepare impeachment motions clearly and within the law and the Constitution, in a manner that if you bring an impeachment of a particular county, it can be agreeable across the country that truly this is a valid case of impeachment. Let's have clear impeachment so that then we have devolution to work. So nobody is a sacred cow. Even elected members of parliament, representatives, they can be recalled. I would also like to see a successful recall process of non-performing members of parliament, so that then it doesn't look like it is a process of cherry picking, it's a process of weaponizing these provisions in the Constitution, so that then overall, what the president said the other day, the problem of Kenya, and I'm quoting the president, is incompetent leadership in offices, conflict of interest, and corruption. The only way we can do that is to remove the bad eggs without protecting, and therefore people should stop going to hide behind their tribes, behind their clans, behind their political arrangements, and no political arrangement should host the bad eggs of governance in this country.
Let's take a break.
Once you're impeached, go home, go away forever. Let Kenyan citizens...
That is so harsh. That is so
no,
harsh.
It's not being harsh. If you look at the Asian countries, the reason why they've tamed corruption is because they've criminalized corruption. If you are presented in court for corruption charges at 9 a.m. and you are found guilty by 3 p.m., you are hanged. And that is one thing to keep systems clean. And that is how to keep governance working to preserve the resources and the economic rights of people.
The thing is here, how strong is this constitution? I mean, look at it this way. We've had governors facing, let me call him Pontius Pilate, facing the law. But that is it. Reverend will understand what I say by the Pontius Pilate. But then we've seen them survive because of the process. A classic example was Kericho County. No sooner had they started the process that it failed, because the Senate said there was a problem here, so you have to go back and follow the law. And that is how Governor Mutai survived. Somebody would argue that the biggest issue here is the process. So if you skip one process in the process of impeaching a government official, then the whole process is flawed. I wanted to come back and take a look at how strong is the Constitution and how can you and I, including a public officer or even Wanjiku, can have it with him or her. And if we want to make it right, how do we take care of it? Take a break. I'll come back with you, Mark and Crispus. We'll be right back with more. Stay with us.
Pamela Atieno. I am a 12-year-old singer and an actress. I also play basketball and chess. I'm looking up to acting with really famous actresses like Lupita Nyong'o.
So you can imagine my surprise when I went shopping for a book and I found a book. I love you this much.
She sees cheese, she sees cheese, she sees cheese.
Today I'm going to show you guys how to make fried cabbage. It's delicious, it's yummy, and it's so easy to make.
This is the way I carry my bag, carry my bag, carry my bag. This is the way I carry my bag.
Never be the same by your strength. Tell you this vibe, it's not this lovely vibe, it's not this is the vibe on the beach side.
Why you worry? Why you worry? Worry is unnecessary.
Just stay on your race. That is why children are living. I'm walking, I'm talking, I'm moving the positive vibe. Stop at my face. You only come around to do fake things. Your little bad mind face.
Nadhani umefika muda wa kurudi kwa wazazi wangu na mwanangu Maya. Hapa haya ni maji ya shingo na nimeshindwa kabisa kuyaogelea.
Mimi naweza chapwa na mwanamke mimi huyo basi.
Hata wewe mtu mzima haujui kuchunga mzigo wako. Shauri yako.
Welcome back. So Sosion has refilled his cup. That's why we took that break. Otherwise, we didn't intend to have any break. You see that he's having his coffee. I mean, simple.
Coffee is good. It's engineering my mental activity.
I like this. Okay. So, Crispus, where are we? In as far as the process is concerned, and I wanted to ask a question. How strong is this constitution? Perhaps seeing, for example, the DCI summoned the deputy president yesterday, right? Yesterday but one to appear before it, yesterday but one. And he was to appear before the DCI. He did not. He was in court. Again, he appeared in court in person. just how strong is this constitution that probably somebody might not understand that this is our guiding star in everywhere we go?
One thing that has come out from this experience that we have gone through over the last 10 years or 14 years is that the constitution we have put responsibility to every person depending on the office or the role you play in our society.
The same way Mark said that it will humble you.
Yes.
In that way, yes.
So everybody has responsibility. But we have seen areas where people are very slow in exercising that responsibility. But also we have seen areas where people are very quick and expeditious in exercising that responsibility. When it comes to impeaching the deputy president, we have seen a very great deal of efficiency in terms of having removed him from office within a record time and a replacement nominated within a very short time. But the other challenge we've had is that we have had the same constitution but not been able to effectively fight corruption in the same way. We have seen cases of corruption dragged for many years. We have seen people hold into office even when allegations have been made about corruption or misuse of office or abuse of power, but they are still remain in office, gone through 2 or 3 elections and being re-elected, and that person still being considered a person of integrity and a leader in this society. Whereas the same constitution provided mechanisms for that person to be removed because there was a requirement, integrity, a leadership requirement that he was supposed to meet. So when we find that there is a selective application of this constitution, then you wonder at what point is it strong enough and at what point is it weak, and where do we need to improve it? With the impeachment of the deputy president, it is very clear that if somebody is abusing an office, he can't be removed. What has been lacking is probably the political will or the legal mechanisms to do that process. So therefore, we are looking forward to an era where if a member of parliament or a senator or a governor or a cabinet secretary or a state officer for that matter is alleged to be in corruption, then there should be enough grounds for that person to be removed from office or stay out of office pending investigation or whatever is required, so that Kenya can have confidence in this process. We've seen political offenses such as the one the deputy president has committed being prosecuted within a very short time. We also want economic offenses in public office to be prosecuted within the same kind of efficient timelines that we have seen, and in a way that is able to permanently put that person out of office and never occupy any public office where he can be able to commit the same crimes again. We want that kind of efficiency so that it can give us the confidence that this constitution is not just for a few people but for everyone.
So why would you've been a member of parliament before, why would it be so easy to impeach a governor, deputy governor, president, or even the deputy president, but it's not so easy to recall a member of parliament? It has to be 1.5 years after election or 1.5 years to the subsequent election.
No, I think, Victor, the consciousness, the uprising of consciousness of these provisions in this constitution has been very slow. And the impeachments for a while focused on governors. It focused on governors very seriously because of the vicious fight for resources at the county level. We saw a near successful impeachment of a minister in 2014, that was Kaimeny, the CS education, because he could not fit in that space, and that impeachment came. But now, with the successful impeachment of the deputy president, we expect now more entities, instead of sitting and waiting, to take full advantage of the provisions in the constitution. And it's good. The legal minds are available everywhere in the country, at the constituencies, to prepare legal recall processes, to collect signatures and do all that, because nobody is a sacred cow. So I think it's the rise in consciousness which has been very slow. If you look at the different facets of the powers granted to the people, like for example, public participation. How was public participation in 2011, and then down to 2014, 2018, 2021, and 2024. If you look at that trend, you look at the trend of public participation, is that it has been slow. It became very intense in 2023, 2024, and at a very high point. If you look at even the public participation of the impeachment of the deputy president, we saw activities all over, across the country. And it was pushed from Friday, from counties to constituencies the next day. And we still saw activities. So really, if you look at aspect of public participation, it has gone up slowly with time. Impeachment, Kenyans now understand impeachment and how it is processed more than ever before. So a lot of things needs to be done within the framework of the Constitution. And this calls for Kenyans to fully exercise the power given to them. If you look at in the Constitution, it says the sovereign power belongs to the people. If you don't exercise that sovereign power, then it means you don't have that sovereign power. So to me, we need more effective civil society organizations to agitate and drive the social agenda within the public so that the public can know. Because the process of civic education is better done by the civil societies. We should be available to promote the civic rights within the society and to know how to do it. So that then I can tell you, Victor, we'll be able to see members of parliament who are underperforming being recalled successfully. We'll be able to see these impeachments getting more sanitized, and it will just be on the basis of pure facts of law and the Constitution, violation of the Constitution, and engaging in crimes and gross misconduct. And with time, people will trust the process that somebody is not weaponizing the provision of the Constitution to bundle people out of office. And in overall, we'll have a more transparent, accountable and corruption-free governance system. And those who will occupy public offices from the president downwards will do so out of merit, and they'll have the requisite capacities to do so. So this process is going to clean the system. Let us keep our system clean so that we stop we cannot be complaining about poor economy, lack of jobs, inability to deliver healthcare system to everyone, inability to deliver education while you have the opportunities. All we need is the right people in the offices to be able to run our governance, so that cumulatively, as we progress as a country, we can progress forward. You know, Kenya is now a middle-income country, but we can progress towards being one of the fast economies in the world and competitive economies actually in the world. And the time to begin is now. And I think the president should not protect anybody in his government. If you are found to be corrupt and to have violated Constitution and the law and engaged in crimes and gross misconduct, you should be dealt with. And nobody should be defended in this government. And I, the president, don't defend anyone. Let those who have engaged in crime be impeached.
Mark is burning with something. I don't know.
Yeah. I just wanted to say that our Constitution is very robust, very strong, and that unlike in the past, where the Constitution, the old Constitution was mutilated to the point of it being toothless, our current Constitution is very strong, very robust. And Brother Crispus has mentioned the speed with which the impeachment process of our former Deputy President took place or happened. The issue about this is that it is time-bound. The matter has to be cleared within 10 days. Considering the sensitive office that the Deputy President holds, the Constitution did not want to give room for it to continue for long. Unlike in criminal litigation, where the matter can drag on and on and on, the court adjournment and all that causes the matters to be protracted. to the point that even people who have active criminal cases, because of that protracted litigation and adjournments and all that, and delay in determination of matters, they find themselves in an election cycle where they get elected into office. And so that's the problem. So if only we could try also, if it was possible, because those are the legal loopholes that are there in criminal litigation and civil litigation, where there is no time frame or cap on how matters need to be determined, so that if a criminal case of, say, economic crime or corruption is brought before a court of competent jurisdiction, that we say this matter has to be determined within 60 days. Because if we can impeach a deputy president within 10 days, why is it not possible, if those who are prosecuting the case have their evidence in place, why is it not possible for this matter to be determined within 30 days or 60 days? So I think those are the legal loopholes that I think maybe our parliament needs to look into and see if we can insert time frames in determination of civil matters and criminal corruption cases.
Now that you're still there, what do you think we are learning in all this process, and as far as the Constitution is concerned? Because again, there should be no prolonged vacuum in the office of the deputy president. All right? I don't know how the president would work without a deputy. Perhaps he wants to go to, have an international trip and there is no deputy back home.
No, of course, the Constitution does not foresee a situation where there is an extreme vacuum, where there is no deputy president. The Speaker of the National Assembly acts in that role. But as it is right now,
we are not in that space.
We are not in that space. We are not in that space. We already have a deputy president designate. What we are waiting for is for these matters that are under litigation to be cleared, and for him to take oath of office. So the process of his appointment is already run its course. So he's waiting. We have a deputy president designate in Professor Abraham Kindiki, Kithure Kindiki.
Okay.
Yeah.
Crispus, when you take a look at the entire judiciary, of course this case is going to continue for a bit of some time today and even until Thursday. What do you really see? I mean, you sit and watch. You as a voter, you did your part, you're a taxpayer, you're doing your part, but then now you're seeing a battery of lawyers and, deputy president sitting there in court. What does that really ring at the back of your mind as a Kenyan, as a voter, when you watch all these things happening?
Well, on one side, you feel it is not a good place for our country to be. But on the other side, it shows progress, that we are not on the streets, we are not throwing stones. We are using our judicial processes to settle disputes. For the deputy president or former deputy president to be there, it is his own choice. I believe this is a political process that is being adjudicated in court. And in a political process, he must be able to get milestones in terms of how the people see him on TV. He's using that free airtime to get milestones. And I believe out of this separation, he wants to go home with something. He may not go with the benefit of a former deputy president, but probably he wants to go there with some political capital, that he can go back to his region and speak and say, look, this is how I was treated, this is how I went through this humiliation. My people, what can we do together? So he doesn't want to go home empty-handed. So he's using the whole openness of the judiciary to gain some political capital out of his predicament today. And also the lawyers, the battery of lawyers, they also want to exercise their professional expertise to demonstrate how good they are in terms of constitutional law. And also it has given us an opportunity to understand the intricacies of the whole judicial process. The question right now that is being asked in court is, when you deputize, what do you deputize? Can you be able to assign judicial roles to members of the judiciary, or you are not allowed to? So is the court allowed to work after 5? Is the court allowed to work on weekends? Those are issues that are emerging, and we have seen in Parliament, whenever they wanted to work outside the working hours of Parliament, there was a gazettement of those hours, their extended hours. In the case of judiciary, how is it supposed to be when you need to work extended hours or over the weekend, when the judiciary has to set up a bench who is supposed to do? So those are issues that are emerging that we are also now be able to understand. In terms of our legal literacy, it is becoming better, and that the presence of those high profile lawyers gives us the opportunity to understand the law better and be able to interrogate and even represent ourselves in matters of law when we come to the areas where we need to be able to pronounce ourselves as Kenyans in how far as the law is concerned.
Okay. I have a feeling that we should all go to law school. Is it too late, Mark, for us to start a law degree?
It's never too late.
It's never too late.
Let me say this.
Go ahead.
As much as the deputy president is enjoying his time in the limelight, he's not really going to get any political capital out of it, because once you are impeached, you cannot be involved in politics for the next 10 years.
True that.
So really, whatever political capital he gets from here, even his people in the background know it cannot be of any help, because he's not going to be involved in politics. So I think that he cannot also go back home and tell his community, you see, this is how I was doing. Because, to be honest with you, this is my personal take on this. The people of the mountain are not that gullible. They know very well that they are at the heart of this government. The last time I checked, when there was the reconstitution of our cabinet in the post-Gen Z cabinet shake-up, the mountain got 7 slots in the cabinet out of 22. And the last time I checked, those people are still working for this government. None of them has been relieved from their position because they come from the mountain. So really, the deputy president cannot go back to his backyard and use that excuse that the mountain is being attacked as a weapon against this government, because the people of the mountain know. They created this government, they played a part in it, and they are in it, and they are involved in running this government. So it's not really something that he can run with. He can't run with it.
So let's take it this way. I'll come back to you, Mwalimu Sosion. The case in court right now is if he's actually successfully impeached. Rigathi Gachagua was born on 28th of February 1965, making him 59 right now. If he goes home for 10 years, he'll be 69. Have we seen some MPs who are older than 69?
No,
how old is Oburu Odinga? He's a senator.
You see.
So he can still come back and run for...
Cannot come. You know, it's difficult, having been a deputy president, to come and run to be a member of parliament.
No, I'm thinking in 10 years, probably
of course,
president.
You see, by the time the 10 years are over, he will be 69. But remember, it will be in the middle of a term. So add another 2.5 years. See, we are 2.5 years into this term. So add another 2.5 years. You'll be 70 something. But then it depends, because you see, our political space has become very dynamic in the sense that we by the time 10 years are over, another political kingpin will have arisen in not only Mount Kenya, but Madhira, where he comes from.
The entire political landscape shall have moved.
Exactly. So it's not easy. It's not like there's something sitting there waiting for him to say, let our son come.
I want to ask you this question, Sosion, because yesterday, again, for the first time, the president broke his silence in as far as this case is concerned. And allow me to put it that the president opened up about his fallout with the impeached Deputy Rigathi Gachagua with a push to have the impeachment case dismissed. According to the president, he said that the High Court has no power to entertain the 29 cases filed before the Senate's removal from the office and the 4 that was subsequently lodged on Friday. Finally, it continues that the president, through his lawyer, that is Adrian Kamotho, argued that only the Supreme Court can hear an impeachment dispute of a president and his deputy. For the first time, we've heard the voice through his lawyer.
It is not the first
in this
time.
case.
It is not the first time.
But directly.
As a president, he was aware about the constitutional process, steps, and the mechanics. And on Friday morning, he acted and forwarded a name. The action is more important than speaking. Has the president acted as required?
Let's say it's not the first time then, but he's given his voice in this case.
Of Kithure Kindiki, meaning he has appointed another deputy and he understands the constitutional steps and consequences of the impeachment process. He is properly advised. And matters to do with the presidential impeachment, I think in future, should just be domiciled in the Supreme Court so that it can be dispensed of expeditiously and in a manner that does not confuse the country. So when the president appears in court through a lawyer and he makes certain applications, it is in the best interest of the country. He is understanding the constitutional process. He is swore to preserve and protect the Constitution, and I think he's acting in the best interest of the country. He's not acting in the best selfish interest of individuals. He must be the statesman and the president of the country that protects, and he is at liberty to point out the constitutional remedies that needs to be done in adjudicating such a matter, including expressing his own feelings in the court, which he has done. And he is only acting to comply with the constitutional process and the products of the process of the constitution of impeachment. Of course, you are discussing about the life, what happens to whoever is impeached. The Constitution did not envisage that we prepare remedial measures of salvaging individuals and victims of impeachment. The Constitution intended to punish them and keep them away from public life for over 10 years. And if we have more impeachments and more successful removal of individuals, they will be out for over 10 years and there should be no sympathy. I don't see any reason why, Victor, we should spend a lot of time thinking about how to salvage such individuals, because by the time you appear to get elected in public life, you're already coming with your CV, you are coming with your personality, you are coming with your character, you are coming with your skills, and you are bleeding with the citizens to consider you. So we will be walking backwards in the fight against bad governance by trying to seek sympathy for individuals who are, because when you are impeached, your other rights are not taken away. Your other rights remain, because it is not a right for you to be a state officer. It is a privilege. So what is removed is a privilege. And you remain residually with your ordinary human rights. So you join the rest of the citizens and continue living. So, and I expect this country to grow in transformative structure and architecture, and even leadership to keep shifting to younger people. If I was born 68 myself, there are young Kenyans. We have seen the Gen Zs. The Gen Zs are enthusiastic to take over leadership of this country and play a central role. They should be given a chance. So I agree strongly with Reverend here that the mountain has not been indicted. It is an individual who has been made to carry his own personal cross.
I want us to do something.
The mountain supported President William Ruto in totality. And I think in the mind of the president and in the heart of the president, he will continue working together with the people of the mountain and the leaders of the mountain to realize prosperity, dreams, and aspirations of the people of the mountain. So people should not get back and hide behind
Let's take a break.
tribes.
This is your camera. Where's your camera? Camera 2. Straight to the camera and tell us, let's take a break with Bright Back. Look at the camera.
I tell you what.
Let's take a break. We'll be right back. Straight to the camera.
Let's take a break. We will be right back.
Mtazamaji, tumekuandalia taarifa zinazogonga vichwa vya vyombo vya habari kutoka hapa jijini Nairobi na pia mashinani.
Wanahabari zaidi ya ubora wao wako ange kukuletea habari pindi zinapochipuka kutoka pembe zote za Kenya.
Kwenye kipindi cha Tamrini tunakuletea mazungumzo ya moja kwa moja kufafanua na kuangazia masuala yanayokuhusu wewe mtazamaji.
Kumbuka, taarifa yenye thamani daima hupokewa kwa amani.
Hivyo basi usikose kuungana nasi kila siku ya wiki.
Tukupakulie na tukutaarifu taarifa yenye mnato kwenye runinga unayoienzi. Kwenye kurunzi mashinani,
sisi DC.
Thank you for joining us on Healthy Living. Stay connected to Voice of America at voanews.com. A look at your kidneys and how they impact your health. And an expert discusses chronic kidney disease and how to protect yourself. And Ivorian psychologist Noor Bakayoko shares some insights on bullying and what can be done.
It's important to avoid major events or major health crises.
How do you know if your cough is due to a serious condition? We'll have some answers. Stay well
and strive to make every day a healthy day.
All right. So I'm the one who welcome you back. So Sion took us on a break. I'm welcoming back. So let me just come back and come to the tail end of this discussion. Mark, let me come back to you. As a reverend, somebody would ask you, where's the voice of the church, literally, in the whole of this process?
Well, the Constitution does not envisage the voice of the church in impeachment process or a political process such as this. However, the church has a responsibility as the moral compass of society to ensure that the citizens are peaceful and that the citizens also appreciate the place of a law, because we gave ourselves this constitution. So the church cannot micromanage politics. All we can do is to manage the residual effects of political decisions and how they impact society. If there is any negative impact, it's a responsibility of church leadership to educate the people and to let them understand how they need to be involved, because the people have to be involved at every point. They are affected directly and indirectly by all this. Like engineer said, people's businesses are being affected. You see, that issue of anxiety and uncertainty affects, pain leaves our business environment full of uncertainties, so then it affects potential investors. So all those impact society, impact congregants of churches. They lose jobs. Those who are job seeking take longer to find jobs because the investors are holding back, so they are not able to create jobs. So all those are consequences of such political processes. So that is the place of the church. So the church cannot, unless whatever happens threatens to cause our country to fall apart and to go into war, the church really does not need to get itself involved in these matters directly. Yes.
Okay. All right. So let me come back and just give you a minute each, Sosion, if you can, so that we come to the tail end of this. What should you expect? It's going to be a very busy week, of course. Yesterday we had a preliminary point in the courts, and lawyers trying to pour cold water. It was a nice legal duel in the court. So what should you expect this week?
I expect the product of this impeachment, the fruit that has already been seen, to be a reality.
Yeah.
That is the eventual clearance of Kithure Kindiki Abraham to be sworn in as the President of the Republic of Kenya, as the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya, and there will be one Kenyan who will be celebrating the value of our Constitution. And I dare say, at this point now, we may need more laws to govern the implementation of the Constitution. We need a standalone law on impeachment. It is important to have it so that the institutions and the public can be guided. We need a standalone law on public participation. We need a standalone law on referendum, so that then the power can be legally transferred to the people of Kenya, as stated in the Constitution, that they have the sovereign power. That sovereign power cannot be exercised if there are no relevant statutes to allow them exploit fully and optimally the full provisions of the Constitution. And going into the future, I expect to see incompetent members of parliament recalled. I expect to see corrupt governors impeached and removed from office and probably criminalized and locked up. I expect to see impeachment of non-performing state officers, ministers, PSS, and the rest. And we expect to see a more serious and cohesive presidency that gives hope to the people. And overall, we hope to see a more united Kenya. Kenya, where political parties and leadership promotes the values of good governance.
Thank you.
That is what Kenya desires. And very lastly, I expect to see young, vibrant Kenyans preparing to take over the leadership of this country early enough and doing the best that they can and better than the current leadership.
Thank you so much. Christmas.
For me, I'm looking forward to the final decision of the Judiciary and what it will give birth. Possibly the question of IEBC will be determined because, as you've seen, the president sought answers from IEBC on the fulfillment of requirements of the candidate.
Yeah.
And if IEBC was able to give those answers, the question is, how did he do that without commissioners? So we hope that out of this process, the determination of what a complete IEBC looks like can be answered. The other question I would also look forward to being answered is, how will the government look like after the swearing in of the new deputy president? Because there's already there are two slots of cabinet secretaries that are vacant, the one for gender and now the one of interior.
Yeah.
So who will fill those vacancies? The other issue that came out of this court process is that the canvassing that was there for position of principal secretaries, which were openly advertised, then it begs the question, why were people applying for those jobs when they were already canvassed by the agreement that was signed by Kenya Kwanza? Should those people resign and then new appointments be made so that they meet the requirement of the law, where if an advert is placed for people to apply competitively, then they should be selected competitively and not through canvassing politically. So those are issues that need to emerge out of this court process, and the country should be able to get a new direction.
Okay.
And overall, we hope that this alliance of ODM and Kenya Kwanza will give fruits for the country in terms of economic growth and prosperity.
Thank you so much. Mark, you also have a minute.
Yeah, sure.
Kindly.
For me, looking at this court process, my expectation is that the court will not give an ambiguous ruling on this matter. I expect the court to set a clear precedent so that in the future, when we have a case such as this on impeachment, there is already a pronouncement on the part of the court on how this thing needs to be done, so that it doesn't, we don't leave gray areas that can cause a matter, an issue such as this, that the Constitution wanted to be determined within a very short time, to be subjected to a protracted litigation. So I expect the court to make a very firm determination that will set a very strong precedence for future impeachments. And finally, I expect our nation to remain united and cohesive, one strong nation.
All right. Thank you so much. Daniel Orogo is watching from JK. He ought to have been here with you guys, but he had an emergency, saying that he's enjoying the discussion. He actually made an article on the Star. Mark, in the inner pages, can you just, in the inner pages, I think there's a commentary there, that part, exactly.
Oh, Daniel Orogo.
Yes.
Okay.
He said that he's watching
the ODM's claim justified after coming through for president.
Yes. So he's trying to argue that it's okay. Baba can have something and these people can have something. All right. Thank you so much for watching. Mark Echakara, he's a reverend, and thank you so much. He's a transformational leadership and governance expert joining me on the set today. Asante sana for coming. Wilson Sosion is not a guest in Jerusalem. Yes, he knows the corridors of not justice. Yes, also injustice. He knows that. Thank you for coming, Mwalimu.
But sometimes you reduce your defamatory comments, lest I sue you.
Don't sue me. An engineer, Crispus Wathemba, asante sana, gentlemen. It has been a very good discussion. Of course, the case still continues in court today. Let's wait and see how it will pan out through the entire week. And of course, we expect the best out of it. Remember, do not cry for what is lost. Focus on what is left. My name is Victor. Have a good morning. Bye-bye.
In the field of technology, artificial intelligence, commonly known as AI, has been hitting the headlines over the last years. The goal of artificial intelligence is to make machines to think like humans and perform human-like tasks.
What artificial intelligence is pretty much we've been trying to understand how machines can learn the way humans learn.
A machine that is having this human intelligence, you're just embedded in it, and then it's actually now able to actually do task, definitely using now the complex algorithms under it.
The way I think about AI is it's a tool. As long as human beings have existed, we've been working our way towards an assistant or a tool that can help us. So we've actually always been building AI.
Artificial intelligence has become more popular today, but the term AI was first coined in the 1950s. Advanced algorithms, improvement in computing power and storage are among the features that have marked remarkable evolution in AI.
I was first introduced to AI when I was 12 years old. I didn't know necessarily it was AI, but it was an old scrap computer that had an AI called Eliza, which was the first ever chatbot. You know, the way now we use ChatGPT.
Human intelligence, animal intelligence, and collective intelligence are among other intelligences. This begs the question, how is AI different from other intelligences?
When it comes to the AI bit of it, artificial intelligence, so this is actually intelligence that has been built by humans. So we're talking about the complexities of algorithms actually being able to work.
The use of AI in the day-to-day life results to efficiency through task automation, data analysis for informed decisions, assistance in medical diagnosis, among other benefits.
So what artificial intelligence helps you do is that this is a machine that doesn't need sleep, doesn't need to eat, it only needs electricity.
Just think of this superhuman. That's what the machine is trying to do. not really trying, it's actually doing right now.
So what artificial intelligence does is it gives you superpowers. It can work day and night for your work. So meaning at night, it could be able to create new kinds of money for you.
It's a tool that is actually helping us.
With or without one's knowledge, many have used artificial intelligence as a cutting edge in problem solving, language processing, and e-commerce services.
If you think today, a boda rider is actually able to, complete their trips much easier because they are using Google Maps.
Look at farmers. There's a lot going on when it comes to the farming bit. So we have these agricultural, they're called agricultural officers that go about and tell someone, for this particular bit, the soil texture is like this, the moisture of the soil is like this.
Anybody who's been using a digital lending app like Tala or Branch or Mshwari today is actually interacting with AI in some form or other. If you've ever done anything on YouTube or Facebook, then you've interacted with AI.
Globally, the United States is currently leading in the AI race with over $249 billion investment. According to AI experts, Kenya is also on the race, although there is more to be done.
The government in some of the things that it's already doing is doing the things that will lead us to AI.
What I do appreciate about the Kenyan government is that it's really focusing its ICT strategy to allow more people to upskill in digital, right? Not just AI, how do you use computers and then be able to use artificial intelligence?
So we need infrastructure, right? You need electricity, right? We are doing a lot in terms of geothermal electricity, in terms of wind, so we can have a lot of renewable energy that powers AI, because AI is essentially power. You're using power to run data centers which store data.
Despite its enormous benefits, especially in dealing with big data, the subject of AI is surrounded with myths and misconceptions. Different people hold different opinions regarding AI and the effects it has on human labor.
So a lot of people would say things such as AI is going to take a job. The reality is that it's not AI that's going to take over your job. It's the person who learns how to use AI well who's probably going to take over your job, because they're going to be more efficient.
AI will lead to unemployment, but it will also lead to employment. In a recent study by the International Labour Organization, it showed that AI will actually lose in Africa 1% of jobs, while it will increase jobs by 16%.
AI itself is actually depending on humans, on what kind of data are we actually giving out. And as much as you're saying no, let's see where we're actually heading in the future. I'm not saying that it's going to actually take away, it's going to actually purely replace humans. But for now, what we can actually say is that AI is actually working with humans. AI is actually working with humans because we are the ones giving out the data.
With the fear of the possibility of AI taking over jobs, the question still remains: what should be the strategy to ensure one does not lose his or her job to AI?
Upskill yourself. So now the new packages are AI tools, AI skills. Go and learn them. Go and download, go and access ChatGPT, sign up for it. Go and download, Meta, Imagine, and create some, content for yourself and learn and play with it, create music, so really it's about people also teaching themselves and upskilling themselves. So learning the new packages, and now they're free. A lot of them are free. You don't have to go to some place and pay. It's free. All you're paying for is internet.
We are in a space where either you like it or not, this particular technology is here with us. What you can actually just do is embrace.
My message to Kenyans is that we really have a big opportunity here. Our governments have a great opportunity to continue empowering people into the digital world. We have a great opportunity to be able to be leaders on the continent, to be able to show what is possible and to use it to not only become more food secure, but to become a healthier nation, a much smarter nation, and to improve the world in a whole.
continue behaving like this, I won't go back in the car.
All right, if you don't get in, how will you leave? See you later.
No, Iker! Live in my house. I won't allow you to get me into more trouble than I have.
This is also my house, right?
How many times will you favor him over me? What else do I have to do for me to be chosen?
I thought that Sergio was going to ask me to marry him. And he didn't say anything, no, nothing at all.
And the 2 times she was with Danielle, they ended up in the hospital.
What did you say, Mother?
Arturo, what's wrong? What is the matter?
Wildlands.
Nyinyi ndio mnaotuongoza. Ni kweli mmemchagua Mbura awe kiongozi wetu?
Mwanamke sio mtu wa kuamini. Anaweza kukua wakati wowote akitaka.
Sio kwa mke wangu.
Kwa nini wanaume waone thamani ya mwanamke katika jamii? Ni kwa sababu ya mila na tamaduni zetu ama ni ubinafsi tu wanaume wako nao?
Mimi ndimi kiongozi wa wafanyakazi wote pale kwenye serikali ya Mbura.
Huo uhuni wako hautoshi hata ukucha wa kidole cha mguu wangu.
Tubaki hapa peke yangu, twende sote.
You only come around to do fake things. Your little bad mind face.
Unaweza eleza mahakama ni nini iliongezwa?
Sasa ni nyinyi mtasema.
Wewe ndio utatuambia kwa sababu si wewe ndio ulikunywa.
Nasema sijui.
Si wewe ndio ulikunywa?
Juu siku zote ni nywe siku.
Unataka huko kunywa pombe?
Wow. Asubuhi 6 in the morning niko huko.
That Maisha no. Who put it inside there?
I cannot know. Sasa yeye atajuaje?
Were you there? Were you there?
No.
No. Did you touch us with method?
No.
No. So what's wrong with you?
Unaweka mpaka panga yenye kutu ndani ya pombe. Hiyo
nasikia sasa kutoka kwake mheshimiwa.
Hiyo si ni mauaji, mnaua kiasi.
Uliniona nikipatia mtu pombe akunywe?
Siwe hiyo ni kazi yako, wewe anafanya hapo, wewe anabika.
Enga nisikilize vizuri.
Lakini mimi nilisangaa kusikia watu wanatoka hapo wakipelekwa Kenyatta na wakipimwa inapatikana mumeweka sumu ndani ya hiyo pombe. Hamuna utu, mnafaa kunyongwa.
Mzee, kielele ndio utawacha.